Annie Totten, welcome to everybody in Charlotte.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
I like to start with how I know my guests.
Okay.
I met you first time, I think, at the Golden's house, like when y'all first moved here.
Sounds about right.
And I think, I'm not even sure school had started yet, but then I heard you were going to Trinity, and then we crossed paths, and your son, Jack, is in my daughter's grade, and we have just been kind of crossing paths
ever since.
Frequently ever since. Well, thank you for coming in. Let's give our listeners a little bio into Annie Totten. You're not from here. I know these things, but let's let everyone else know.
I'm not.
So where'd you start?
Oh, San Diego, California. Not a bad place to start, right?
Nope.
Born and raised. Lived there my entire childhood life until I went to college in Northern California, stayed in the state, at Santa Clara University. Went from there to work for the Gap Corporation in San Francisco. So small trek up the freeway. And then I met my husband now, Jay, at Santa Clara. Followed him around for a good year. Was quite intrigued by the man on the soccer pitch.
Aren't we all?
And after following him for a year, he finally paid attention to me, and we started dating. Anyways, after working for the Gap for a couple years, we got engaged, and he got into Anderson, UCLA Business School, so we moved to LA together. And then we were there, had all three of our kids in Manhattan Beach, and we're there until December 28th of 2017 when we moved here. So that's my geographical bio. There you go. Yes. So I'm a Cali girl.
Well, and my favorite, because I'm going to try to do the opposite, because I'm trying to get out there.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places. I'm going in like 3 weeks. Again, I like makeup interviews that I have to do just so I can go. Yeah. So where in San Diego?
La Jolla.
So you grew up in La Jolla?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes. So I basically the same house the whole time, from the time I was 1.5. Same house, still go home to that house, sleep in the same bed. Makes me the happiest.
God.
Love it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I went out to, I go to La Jolla quite a bit because I have a buddy that lives in San Diego, has since college. He's been there for 25, almost 30 years. He's up in Del Mar now.
Yep.
But lived in La Jolla for 15, 20 years. And so it's always where I visited. And I remember I went there to the beach club.
La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club. Yep.
And you responded to a post I put, and my happy place or something like that. But I had not put together that that's where you grew up.
It is. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
God,
And more
that place is
specifically,
heavenly.
Bird Rock within La Jolla.
Oh,
so
even better.
Even better. So, La Jolla definitely it's one of the most beautiful places on earth, right? And it's a very wonderful place to live. It's gorgeous. Bird Rock is the little salty end of it, if you will. And
I love Bird Rock.
It's the best. It is the best. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So every time I go to La Jolla, and I took Finley, or not I took, but Finley and Ashley and I went to La Jolla for like a week one summer, probably 4 years ago. And I was like, we got to go to Bird Rock. It's the coolest place. It is. I didn't know that's where you grew up. This is amazing. Yeah. Oh, that's a trip. Yeah. That bird shit rock.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's called Bird Rock. It's got a great break right off of there.
Yes, I've heard. Nice right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Gap, Jay, Charlotte, 2017, and let's go into Generation We.
Yeah.
I'll start by saying, what would you like to talk about as far as what you're up to and what you're doing that you're most proud of and would like to share with our audience? Would that be it? And if there's more, let's do that too.
Yeah, obviously Generation We is a huge part of my life right now. Want to talk about that for sure. I'll go anywhere with you. You want to talk about
Generation We?
Okay.
And then we'll go to South Park style.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Yeah. 180 from Generation We. So Generation We is like my fourth baby. I've got 3 kids. Like you said, Jack, who's in Finley's class. He's 15. Just started high school, which is a wild ride, as you know. And then I've got 2 girls, Maeve and Ayla. They're in 7th and 5th grade. But Jack has cerebral palsy. So he had birth trauma, and we realized that something was going on around 10 months of age. So he was actually discharged from the hospital with healthy MRI and as a healthy child, which was an unfortunate error. But regardless, around 10 months of age, we realized something's not quite progressing the way that we're seeing other kids progress. And he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And this is, I'll never forget that day. Jay was traveling, and I took him to be evaluated. And within 20 minutes, my life flipped upside down because my one and only child at the time, I'm hearing words like wheelchair and handicap and, physical disability and special needs and special school. And I was like, I'm sorry, what just happened? Because I thought I was living the dream that y'all, a lot of people live and look forward to having a child and what they envision. And I strapped that sweet little boy into his car seat and got in the car and called my mom and lost my shit. And I remember that night I laid by his crib and I just begged God or whoever is over this universe, whatever you want to call him or her, give it to me. Just give me the challenge. Take away my ability to sit up and my ability to use my left side and just give him the healthy body. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
No.
And I woke up and we were both the same physically.
Right.
That was a very potent, vital turning point in my life for obvious reasons.
Wow.
And you go through a mourning process of mourning a healthy child and what that looks like. But then there's this awesome thing that parents have, and I think especially moms have, and it's like, it's go time. Yeah. And I looked at him.
Like it or not.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. And before I knew it, he and I were driving up to Northern California every 6 weeks to do a very specialized therapy. He was doing physical therapy constantly. We were doing all kinds of innovative types of things on him to really give him the best potential possible to move his body and reach his potential. At that point, I'll be honest, I really thought I could fix it. I thought, oh, he's going to be that kid that they're like, oh, yeah, he's got this. But, oh, my gosh, look, he's all of a sudden come out of it and he's totally normal. I shouldn't say the word normal, but he's, his body's moving typically. And, but that kept me going. So whatever, kept me going.
Yeah.
At the time, I had a business, too. I was started an online retail for kids and baby organic products. I'd been in corporate retail for 9 years, and so I started my own. So I was doing the two together side by side. I tend to do better when there's a whole lot going on. I think I'm realizing.
Right.
And
thrive in the chaos.
Pretty much, yes. But regardless, that whole time working with him, watching him progress, and just also watching how other people looked at him. Coming in contact with other kids who had much more severe physical or neuro differences than he did because he's in all these therapies, right? I'm around these families constantly, been through a lot of trauma. I'm just more and more realizing, God, all I want is the world to just see him. I'm like, he physically moves around different. Yeah, all the kids in preschool, they're running around and he's scooting on the floor still. But that's not all there is to him, right? And so this is a long story leading up to Generation We, but that was the catalyst, was Jack. And my exposure to, right away having really a different experience parenting and a really different experience with another human being with a physical disability. I'd never been close to one my whole life. Yeah. And my first one was my son. I mean, that's a big jump, know? So,
wow.
Generation We, our whole mission is to create a more inclusive future for all kids. And it's not just about Jack or kids with physical disabilities. I am so passionate and I believe so much in my core about how each of us is here for such a specific purpose and that we all have so much magic. And I just want to see a world where we honor that and we hear it and see it. It doesn't mean everybody's best friends, but it means that, we each have a place and we can respect that and we can hear each other's stories and backgrounds and move on in kindness. And that's our mission. So we we work with kids ages 2 to 15. We use the power of storytelling. And one of the most obvious ways to storytell is books, and representation in literature, especially children's literature, has traditionally been really poor. So you will predominantly see healthy white middle to upper class main characters, or inanimate objects like a rock or something else as a main character. So it's important for kids to see themselves. It helps with engagement. So we use books to help them learn about differences. There's incredible books out there. You just have to find them. And so we're finding them and pulling them all together and saying, here's this portfolio of books for your kids to learn about others. Books is the first step. And then to me, what I love, love, love is the multi-sensory interactive workshops and experiences we do with kids.
Yes.
And we use art most frequently as the basis for those. Art is such a welcoming, creative, natural state for humans. Even if people say, "Oh, I'm not an artist," or "Oh, I'm not a."
Yes, you
yes,
are.
you are. Every friggin' human on this planet is a creator of some sort. And when you give that platform to kids, they just open up. I mean, it's awesome. It's so fun. There's real magic. Real magic. So that's a big lead up to Generation Week.
Good gracious.
Yeah.
All right. There's so many places I want to go with that, but we've got to, I'll try to keep it narrowed. First is just the acceptance, awareness, compassion, empathy towards differences.
Yeah.
And what better way to instill or whatever the word is, but for children, in the minds of children. I mean, obviously we know that a lot of us are very innocent when we're young, and we get tarnished.
We do,
we get taught.
by the layers of society.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just makes so much sense, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I love that you even emphasize that it's not just about physical disabilities or differences. It's race, it's genders, it's everything.
It's neurodiversity, it's socioeconomic differences, it's family dynamic differences. It is race, ethnicity, and culture, all those things. It's everything. It's the LGBTQ plus community. It's whatever makes you. We want to make sure you have the platform to tell it and to celebrate it, and we want to celebrate it with you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, and I love that you even expanded on that, because of course you hit the main categories, but how about just throw two people that look alike or from the same place, all have seemingly all the same things, are very different people.
Absolutely.
Right? And so celebrate it, enjoy it.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I say to kids when we go into schools or I'm working with them, I'm like, we talk about what's the one thing, that's unique or that's special about your thumbprint. And they all immediately, they know, like, oh, I'm the only one in the world that has it, right? I'm like, correct, you're the only one with that thumbprint. What else do you have that nobody else on this planet has? Your story, your experiences, your layers that make you you. There is not one person, I don't even care if you're an identical twin. You have had completely different experiences on this planet. And that makes you you, and that needs to be told and celebrated and honored.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and how, I mean, I understand that the mission is to, like you said, honored, celebrated, enjoyed. Why are we so programmed to feel and do the opposite for difference?
Gosh, Robbie, that's such a good question. It's just how our society is built. I even think if you break it down into like a school system, let's just say, right? So we are a society, we have to function, we need rules, we need some lines drawn, we need categories. It's kind of, I think, necessary to create a functioning society. But when you do that, and you do it year after year after year, century after century after century, especially when you make those lines around people differences, it creates not just lines, but walls and borders, right, between people. And, I was thinking about the school system, and it has a way that it teaches, right? Teaches a classroom traditionally. There's a curriculum. Now, I do think nowadays you get a lot more innovation in the classroom and schools that are branching out and teachers that are doing different things. But they teach one way. Typically, a teacher will teach one way to 30 students. There is no way that all 30 of those students are taking the information in through their eyes or ears and processing it through their brain the same way and letting it filter through their body. There's just no way, because we're not built the same. We're so vastly different and physically, you know, so I just think that it's a function of trying to create a society, but I think there's a happy medium. It doesn't have to be a free for all, right? But there's opportunity to celebrate the individual.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. I mean, it's somehow creating or utilizing and cultivating our natural emotion, sensitivity.
Yep.
Because what is learned, what is taught, what is groomed is like, and hatred's a strong word, but it's disdain or discomfort.
Absolutely. It's me versus you. It's
or us versus y'all.
Yeah, or whatever. We're a competitive society. We are. But, you know, I'm a huge yogi and a very spiritual being, which we all are, but I really, that's a huge part of my life. And so to me, human connectedness is so important. And I think as society has created these lines and drawn these lines, we've lost the connectedness. And that's really all it takes to make an inclusive society is connection. And you can't have connection if you don't know somebody, right? So it's like, if we could just actually share our stories, if we could hear each other, if we can actually be brought together. I love bringing kids together from completely different backgrounds through a general, you know, cause or creation, you know, a piece of art, whatever it is they're making together. They have no idea that one might be from a completely different socioeconomic background than the other. They have no idea what someone's sexual orientation is coming in. They have no idea, you know, but then they come together, they hang out, they do something, you know, communal. There's a connection there. And suddenly there's just a totally different energy between those people, right? And that's the type of work that we're trying to foster, is this human connectedness. That leads to true inclusivity, true belonging.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to want to connect.
You do.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, not as a kid necessarily, but obviously there's a lot of our issues are more in the later years, and I understand they start early. But there's a lot of people that just don't want it.
Agreed. That's why I work with kids.
Right. Understood.
I mean, I got certified to teach yoga, but only for kids, because no offense, but I don't have any interest in adults. They're too hard.
Right.
There's too much baggage.
The shell's too thick.
It is. There's too many layers. Kids are so beautifully open.
Yeah.
They just are, and their energy's higher and their vibration's higher. And yeah, you know, I just, if I could make them all feel loved and worthy, you know, I had a download in yoga a couple weeks ago, and I ended up posting it. It got so much reaction, and it was just, can you imagine if every single person felt worthy and loved, and, you know, that they had a place here? Imagine the vibrations bouncing around this place. It would be like the highest of the high, right? If we all felt whole and worthy and like we belonged.
Oh my
and
God.
So, gosh, can I just give that to some kids, you know, like, because they do.
Yeah.
They really do. So, yeah.
I love when you started and said, you know, we only have a certain amount of time here. I think that understanding that often comes around our age. And I certainly think about it a lot now that I'm on the kind of other side of the half court line. And so you start to, you know, time begins to matter.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, in that realization, you begin to think backwards and what have you done with your time, and what are you going to do with your time? And then you start thinking about other people and other people's time, and specifically your kids. And yesterday, so I'm talking to Jim Sonnefeld, and and we're talking about, like, you know, what you believe in, and not necessarily like what do you believe in, but what do people believe in?
Yeah.
And there's obviously these people who think about afterlife, and it kind of determines how they live now. And we were discussing a little bit of kind of Christianity and some of those practices, and he's like, you know, I like to live whether I knew what happens after life or not, it's not going to affect what I do today. Because today is about right now. It's not about, oh, I'm doing this so I get somewhere else or anything like that. It doesn't matter. None of that matters whether I know it or believe it or don't or not. I'm going to live how I think I should be living today.
Right now.
Love that. Think it relates.
Agreed.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Covered that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for explaining all of Generation We. Congratulations on founding and running that.
Thank you.
It looks like you're. I was looking through it a little bit and do a little R&D on this, and it looks like your team and your board were. Actually, I recognize a few of them, and I absolutely love those people.
Yes.
And it looks like a very respectful and amazing group.
It's an incredible group, and we're blowing up right now. We can't keep up. So we need the funding because we have the demand. It's crazy, the demand right now for our work, and we're doing everything we can, but it'll come.
Yeah, well,
I feel it. It's on the tip. We're on the brink.
I love it.
Yeah.
So audience, listeners, where do they go to research and get involved?
You can go to the World Wide Web, joingenerationwe.org. Yes. We have an Instagram, generation.we. To kind of see what we're about, and you can follow us. But really, our website's the best place. There's a video on our homepage that just really shares the energy of what we do, workshops and books and everything. We have a fundraiser coming up, Unique Sneaks, in November. It's going to be at the Vault at Bank of America Stadium, which was donated to us, which is incredible. And that is such
I've been to that event, and it's insane.
So fun.
It's so fun.
Well, Finley's amazing. And that is where we bring together 100 kids, 20 of which are sponsored, come at no cost. The other 80 are paid ticket holders, and they customize sneakers to tell their own personal story. And these are awesome Nike sneakers, and we bring in professional artists to inspire and lead them. Got a DJ that just plays the best jams. I mean, such good ones. We got food. We have local authors that are there to talk to kids and inspire kids and share their books. And every kid walks away with a brand new pair of sneaks that they just customize. This year we have a spray paint station, so they can add a little bit of street vibe. And they get a book of their choice, too. So it's a great day. So you can get tickets on our website. We still have a couple left, not many, but just a couple. Yeah. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Yeah. There you go.
And then lastly, you were just on the cover of South Park Magazine.
I was.
How about
trippy.
that? Just come on into town with a little fire behind you.
Yeah. Well,
I love it. So the Cali style caught people's eyes.
Yes,
and,
apparently. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Anything you want to share on that?
I mean, that was so far outside my element. Actually, I do want to share something on this because I think it's for me, it was a big lesson. Growing up, I was always taught to kind of stay small and just not take up too much space, you know? I remember when I got the email that I had been selected, my first reaction was, oh, I shouldn't do that. You know, first of all, I hate having my picture taken. I hate being on camera. Makes me very uncomfortable. But also, like, I don't know if I need to do that, you know? And then
it's not very under the radar.
Yeah, not exactly. And I was sitting there and I was like, look, what is my soul, like what lights me up? And I'm trying to, especially in this time in my life, really peel back the layers and live to what makes me really light up and why I'm here. And I really do love fashion. And turns out I kind of do like the spotlight, I guess.
Who knew?
Because I was like, okay. And I got there and I had a blast.
Yeah.
The photographer was so great, and, Whitley and her team and everybody. But I had a really good time. And it was probably one of the first times where I've been happy with a photo of me, But I think it's because,
you looked great.
Well, thank you.
Great.
I was in my element. I let go of like what I was told or taught to be, right?
Sure.
And I lived into what I really think my soul and like I'm a Leo, so my whole life people are like, oh, you must love the spotlight. I'm like, no, I don't. Now I'm like, maybe just a little bit. And so it was a great experience for me. And I have to say that ripping that Band-Aid and stepping into that and doing that, a lot has been manifesting for me and just kind of blowing up since then. And it's, you know how it
decision.
goes, right? It's like you honor your self, your true self, and stuff just flows, man. It's kind of crazy.
It is just a step. It's that thing where it's that comfort zone, and that's that sheet or that thing in front of you that you're just like, I don't want to do it, and you start telling you maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't know if this is me, and then you just, it's all a comfort thing.
Totally.
It's like standing on the side of a dance floor.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I don't really want to go out there and dance in front of everybody.
But there's a huge part of you that really wants to get out
and then you get out there and it's just the bam, it goes off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was a great experience. Very happy I did it.
Very cool. Well, I hope everything comes your way as a result.
Thank you.
And as a result of all your hard work and your passion and your authenticity.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in here and sharing all that.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Annie.
All right.